Going on, guys? Brandon here. Back to the small account challenge update. So looks like we're about 20 bucks green on the Robinhood, and we took a big hit today on the Tasty Works. Gave back the $66 winner we had from last week and added to the loss. So 131 overall. No big deal. Big learning curve here on a different platform, but let me show you what went wrong and how we fix it from here on. So the big hit today was Apple. Of course, the big squeeze. We all know we were waiting for the short play to work out, right? So we had purchased the 157.50 puts. You can see this is where I messed up. Let's go to the chart real quick. So we're heading over to Apple, and we can see where I got short here on the 200 EMA rejection. We purchased the the 157.50 puts. And as it cruised down here, breaking down, we're a little bit in the money, but as we can see, it just kind of held VWAP in this consolidation the whole time, and we kind of knew it wasn't, wasn't ready to break down. So we sat here and held all morning, and slowly, just grinding out all of our premium profits. So they were going red. Well, as the SPY was dumping off and Amazon was just consolidating under the VWAP here, we knew a squeeze was imminent, right? So decided to take the cover. So I sold 155 puts, you can see here in the cover, but here's where I messed up. The average credit here, you see, is $1.14 on the screen here. And then when we go back to the 157.50 puts that I had purchased, they're 136. Now you can't leave a gap in spreads like that, or if a stock happens to squeeze out and run super far past your entry, you're not able to lock anything in. Those spreads are going to hurt you, like they did today a little bit here. And I'll do another example here, which I did on SPY. So let's head back over to SPY. And unfortunately, this was like the big loser of the day. I had some orders out on Robinhood, and I couldn't get a fill up here at the 260 puts I had purchased, or I tried to purchase up here. I just put a limit out twice. I tried to get filled on 5 260 puts up here, and nothing would fill me at the tops here. I don't know what was up with Robinhood there. That was the big miss of the day. Would have cashed in huge on that move. But let's take a look at what I did catch and what I did learn today about those spreads and those pricing, right? So when I purchased 262 puts, was way later on in the day here. I gathered some. It was right up in here, right at the yesterday's close price, right? Let's see here. Let me look at my time. Let me get this right. Yeah, so we're right here. Big squeeze pop, right back down the money. And that was right here on that fill. Yep. So, okay. We grabbed it. Now, this thing was trucking up. Big squeeze up, big squeeze up, big squeeze up, right? So, SPY's moving back up. And I was looking at the 262.70s area for a rejection. And let me explain that just real quick here. If we jump to the 4-hour chart, and we were looking at our charting here, and we already had this huge buyback candle in the 4-hour. I was looking at the previous red 4-hour candle here, and you can see the bottom of this red wick. See the price action, 262.67, 262.71, right at the bottom of this red candle. So I was banking on a pullback when this thing was getting sucked back up, and it was right after it had this big move and big squeeze, right? So I was watching closely this 262.70 area just for a pullback to get short on, to maybe lock in a small profit like a day trade, right? So here's what we did. We purchased the 262 puts, 5 of these guys, and then we got filled. I forget what candle's on. It was right around here, right there, the push right into the no, wrong section here. It was pushed right into the 262 like 70s, like the first big one. And as it pushed up, squeezed up, and I had a couple buybacks, and we got filled, and it started red, but then the breakdown happened, right? So we hit the resistance at 262.70 area, started breaking down. We're up about 100 plus bucks on our 5 contracts to the downside on our 262 puts, right? So I want to cover the $100 that I'm making here on the puts. So what I did was, now pay attention to this. This is what I messed up on an Apple trade. That average cost is $237, right? So the spread. So when I sold these puts, these 261.50s to cover that profit, you notice how the other one I'm down 500, but this one I'm up 575. So we locked in $75 of that, even though this thing reversed. And now the average credit I have is $237. Right there, you see that under the rate across from the current price. Now that matches the spread for the 262 put. 237 was the average cost. Now this is getting pretty much a free spread, right? This is the cover you want to take. Don't take the Apple cover that I did when I bought the puts. I got the fill at 136, but to try and lock in the profit, which I didn't do fast enough, and or negate some losses, I had sold the 155 puts here. 114 was my average credit, thus leaving that big spread, right? And I kind of messed up on that. And as Apple kind of developed throughout the day, and had that huge squeeze play, well, it hurt us more than helped us, obviously, because we didn't get a good 155 put sell average because I'd let it go too far in advance. I didn't cut my losses fast enough, so we only got about $465 out of that put sell cover when we had lost 520. So we were down a little bit on that, but the SPY call, we locked in $75 so far on the SPY because of the average cost, right? So that's something to pay attention to. So we're kind of green here on the from the SPY on the Robinhood. Now let's take a look at the other play I had. This was obviously the SPY was the big miss here at the 260 put. We didn't get any fills here, and that was kind of our big move I expected today. And you can see all the weekly lines that we were playing with today, and they all worked out rather well. So I'm kind of upset we missed that, but you can only move progress so hard with Robinhood, right? So let's just take a quick peek here and why we're down. These are all the other trades that I had taken today through Tastyworks, right? So we had a couple more Apple tries, and of course, I did the exact same thing in Robinhood that I did here. I took the losses at, we got $70 on the first one where I had purchased puts and then covered, and then my spread wasn't good enough, right? I had a $25 indicator loss here, and then I had a bad spread on the next one here, $45. So altogether, you see in this line right here is minus $70 on the day for Apple. Amazon, I'm not, these are all subject to change. Remember, the P&L in general on options, don't fall in love with it. My man Robbie, Tool Time Robbie, don't fall in love with the PLs, because the time decay and on the sell side, as it progresses and it comes back down, can change. So if Amazon, this big ramp up, and you can see the sell-off already on the SPY here, we could come back down. I could get a better fill in Amazon. So these P&Ls aren't locked in, are what they are right now. And you can see Baba, I took a altogether, see that changed already. I was down. Okay, everybody got $6. So we're a very, very tiny loss on Baba. We can cover that real fast on Baba. And this one was user error. Unfortunately, it was all me. Took the put 145, no, 145. So 145 puts here. And then it came back down and squeezed me out. So covered, no big deal. But I got a decent cover on that one. So we negated losses there. And then it did the same thing to me here, broke down under VWAP. I grabbed it for the 50 reject, squeezed above it. But, I didn't give it time. I didn't give it to work while I was swimming around in all these new option trades and hopping around on learning, the thetas and just watching what I needed to watch to get familiar with the platforms. I wasn't paying attention to the 200 EMA rejection on the 1 minute, which is, again, one of our big bread and butters on the tech, right? So we knew Baba was working out. So this was my user error here on the big loss on Baba, which today wasn't a big loss, but a big miss, I should say, not loss, because we would have been locking in a very nice chunk on this one, right? So again, we did a little bit more Apple loss, pretty much imitated what I did on Robinhood, and then the Amazon one, as kind of to be determined. This is a straight vertical. And I want this to go down. And Amazon, man, this was a rough one. Unfortunately, because the Amazon, they have it had such a range, and it was such a tight vertical here. I didn't give it as much time, and I put a limit out there, nothing filled. So we still got expiry till Friday. So we'll see what Amazon wants to do. But I had taken it up here right at the pop, right into yesterday's close price for a put short, and it ran like 30 some points. Almost like 27 or 29, I think about 30 points into the put direction that I wanted. And for some reason, I just couldn't get a fill on the spreads. The spreads are bouncing around, and couldn't get a fill on the Amazon winner, which would negate a lot of these losses. So these aren't locked in quite yet. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's go over the best case scenario real quick. So taking a look at our charting here, we're going to go to the SPY. So for our SPY calls, the best case scenario for the SPY is tomorrow, because we're not wasting a day trade on this. We're just letting it go to the next one. These sells right here that are worth a whole bunch, we're going to try to get a push into the SPY. Oh, wrong ones here. The sells. Bam. We're gonna look for a SPY push, right? We're gonna look for this to push back up into, most likely, I'm gonna look for this weekly trend resistance. Maybe today's highs up here. Pre-market highs 264.76. We'll see what this thing opens up at. And the best case scenario for us right now is for the SPY to kind of continue up and get this big squeeze move up, right? So that means our sells here are going to be worth way more than our puts. So we're going to try to find the top on SPY for these puts. So these 261.50s, we're going to look to purchase back at a much higher price, because the higher this goes, the more they're worth, right? And we have that locked in average credit of zero spread pretty much. So we're going to look for this to move up, 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 up. So these can get purchased back at a higher level. And then on the downside, we're going to look for downside, and where the downside is, we still have this 262 put open, and it'll be losing money the whole time, but with our locked in spread there, it's no big deal, because it'll run up, 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 and our sells are going to be worth more than these puts. And all we're going to do is look for a top on the SPY, and I'm going to purchase back these guys right here, these 5 sells. I'm going to purchase these 5 sells back, and I'm going to lock in that profit, and hopefully I pick the top. And then as it goes down, our puts are going to become, worth more. So on the downside, we're gonna lock in that profit with added put size. So it's gonna go down, 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 down. Hopefully on a big pullback, and then we can cover the rest of these 262 SPY puts to the downside, and hopefully, maybe we nice get a big whipsaw move today. So best case scenario, she comes up, I purchase the contracts that I sold back for a big profit, let the put come all the way back down, and then sell the puts I had purchased down here for another profit, thus locking in. We pretty much bought it for insurance. So now we're going to have to play the price action tomorrow on these puts and on these puts, buys and sells, to try and lock in this profit, right? So that's what I got for you guys today. That's what I learned up here. It was a very awesome learning experience about the average pricing, right? The average cost. So that's something when you're purchasing a put, and these 262 puts would have went down, 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 I would have been looking to purchase something of that, a higher spread for these sells. So again, Tool Time Rob giving me his time today, helping me out, and really helping with this learning process, really accelerating things. And the more we do it, the more exciting it is to play these things, right? Like I love the grind, I love the small account stuff. So as we move forward tomorrow, the best case scenario, we'll see you guys for pre-market analysis and tomorrow's trades. You guys take care.